Hello, world, and welcome to Grounded and Guided. I'm your host, Lynette Waltham, and I'm just so grateful that you're choosing this moment to be here with me. Today, I want to address something that I have been walking through recently. And what spurred this was a question that come up in a podcast interview that I had a while ago. And that's about what do we do when we're in a funk? What do we do when we're maybe not feeling like ourselves? How do we essentially shift our energy, sometimes move our mood? How do we kind of get back into that space that we're wanting to get back into? Now, for me, I can really recognize when I am not myself, when I feel off, when I feel in a funk, when I feel that my energy has been affected. And that's just come from years of doing this work, moving through the journey, and just that learning process, the being aware of myself and being connected with my body and learnings that I've dived into and things that I share with people. That's how I can be so in tune to what is happening. So I just want you to recognize, first and foremost, you can get there too. I feel like that's always the message that I want people to recognize is you can get there too. So today I kind of want to talk about how we can maybe recognize if we are in a funk or we're maybe not in our normal, and then just some tools of how we can shift our energy, shift our mood, shift our vibration. So what does that kind of like funk feel like? I want to compare and contrast what maybe a normal steady state feels like as compared to a funk. So for me, that normal steady state is I feel light. I feel energized. I feel full of personal power. That energy is flowing through me, and I feel like there's a direction that I can put that energy towards. I can feel joy. I can be in the present moment. I feel very connected with people and the world around me and the universe, the higher power, my spirit guides, and the energy of creation. That's my normal. But just recognize, like, it took a lot for me to get there. That wasn't my normal 10 years ago. That wasn't my normal 2 years ago. And the normal of me today isn't even the normal that I had maybe even 6 months ago. But I do recognize that there are some characteristics that are normal for me. And that steady state for me is also like I can feel my personal power in my belly. So right above my solar plexus chakra, there's an energy center there. And I can really connect with that easily. It's vibrant, it's moving, it's expanded. That to me is my normal, my steady state. From a nervous system standpoint, I am regulated. I am safe. And I'm holding that ventral vagus nerve state where there's like deep connection with myself and the world. So now in contrast, that space when I don't feel like myself, I feel down. Negativity more easily wants to slide in. There's an edge to my behavior and how I treat people, where once there is a softness and a cushion, when I'm not myself, there's that edge there. I really kind of just like lose positivity. The light within me really does seem to dim because I do struggle with connecting to the energy. Connecting to energy doesn't want to flow. And then I start to kind of distrust myself. I distrust my body. I can't really feel the energy moving in my body. So all of that then therefore, like I have nothing to give. The idea that I'm going to help and serve people, no, No way, no shape, no form. And I also, too, I don't want a lot of interaction. I don't want a lot of stimulus. I don't want anything that's going to get my energy going and get my energy to respond. I feel like I don't want to put anything into my world. I want to contract and I want contract and I want my energy to be almost very like held. And over the last month, I've been in this state. And it started because I got sick. And then that kind of turned into a cough. So I have no choice. I have no choice but to kind of shut down and contract because my body needs that energy to heal itself. I need to contain that. I need to allow that to work for me first. But what I also recognize when I'm looking at that from a nervous system perspective of how some of these things have played out for me is that was a freeze response. I needed to basically stop, almost immobilize myself, shut myself down completely, retract, and do nothing. And so you might be wondering, why the freeze response, Lynette? Why did your nervous system shut you down like that? And it's just really apparent to me as I've been doing a little bit of reflection as that I was doing big things. And every time I was doing big things, my nervous system was very much in a sympathetic state. I was kind of in this like fight or flight area where I'm stressed because I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, kind of pushing my levels of safety to try and expand myself and do new practices, create new projects, and even like really put myself out into the world. Like even with this podcast, this is kind of a big thing. And so one thing after the other, those little pushes, and maintaining myself in a little bit of a stressed state. And then throwing a few just bigger things in my path that really challenged me just caused me to absolutely shut down, absolutely freeze, immobilize, and retreat. And I just have to learn to accept that's what's going on. And this is something that is kind of a pattern that I've navigated. I've been reflecting on this a lot over the last 6 years of choosing to go into spiritual entrepreneurship. There's many times where my nervous system is being challenged, is being pushed. And logically, when you're owning a business, you kind of want to keep like pushing those boundaries, pushing those barriers because you're building a business. But there comes a point where your nervous system just can't take it anymore. So boom, I get totally sent into a freeze response, shut down, immobilization, so that I have to just learn to reset, recalibrate, redefine safe for myself, redefine where I'm walking and how I'm getting there. And in the past, I didn't have the knowledge, the skills, and the tools that I have today. So I would keep pushing that. So getting sick was happening like quite frequently for me. Now things are a little bit different. This is the first shutdown that I've experienced in probably about a year. And so I'm approaching that a little bit differently. I'm allowing myself to get a little bit more curious, and I am bringing my awareness back to those tools that help me walk back into my work, into my passions, into my purpose in a safe space. So I really wanted to use this podcast to talk about those things that walk me back there. Talk about those tools that help me get back into that space where I feel like my normal self, where I feel energized. I feel my personal power. I feel energy moving through me. I want to share with the world. I want to live in an expanded way. I want the joy. I want to be in the present moment and I want to be connected again. So how do I get there? How do I go from this place of being negative, very contracted, feeling helpless, feeling lost, distrusting myself, distrusting my body, not wanting to give, and just wanting to shut out everything that I always interact with? How do I go from that in a span of even just a couple weeks? Sometimes it can even be like a day. I can pop back and forth. But when I'm in these big bubbles, it takes time. It takes kind of weeks to shift back into my gear, shift back into how I interact with the world. So I think the very starting point to help create that shift is just recognizing that I am safe. Sometimes that means I need to put a hand on my chest or even connect deeper down with that chi center, down in that solar plexus chakra area, and just remind myself I am safe. And that is something sometimes you got to say over and over throughout the course of the day. I am safe. I am safe. Because as I start to lose that positivity, and you kind of are in a nervous system dysregulated state, that's where the fear and the anxiety starts to creep in. So constantly trying to remind myself that I am safe. And I will also start to get really wrapped up in the doing that, like I need to do this and I need to do that. And that gets a whole other type of energy going. It feeds into that nervous system dysregulation. So instead of feeling like I need to jump from one task to another, like clean my house, organize this closet, and run here with my kids, do the garden, just a task after task, there's nervous system dysregulation there. I am the doing because I am not feeling safe. So I just kind of have to bring it back, hand on chest, hand on my energy center, and just remind myself that I am safe. Take that breath in, exhale it out, and I am safe. And that might mean deep breathing for multiple breaths. 3 is great, just to bring myself back to that reality that I am safe. And when my head kind of starts spinning and that anxiety wants to creep in, I have to tell myself that I am safe. And I have to remind myself that my basic needs are met. There's food on my table, I have clothing on my back, I have shelter over my head, and I have water to drink. And those basic needs will be met in the present and in the near future. So that really helps to remind myself that I am safe. And sometimes just those practices can take days, can take weeks, just constantly reminding myself that I am safe to try and just get that nervous system to regulate. Another thing that I do is I reflect. I remember where I once was and how I felt, and I remind myself that I never want to feel like that again. So it's not for me to be hard on myself. It's just to remind myself how far I have really transformed and shifted, and that I have the knowledge, the skills, and the tools to not go back there again. So that helps to kind of just ground me a little bit. And it is that small motivation to keep moving forward, to keep leaning on my toolkit to help me regulate my nervous system, to help me shift my energy, and to keep trying things when I feel like trying things. And like I mentioned before, I have to not be hard on myself. That's one thing that I've really had to learn and navigate through, having cough that lingered for 30 days in my past. I've really had to go easy on myself because life, everything ebbs and it flows. Everything is energy. Energy has movement. So there's going to be waves. There's going to be ebbs and flows. And just to be able to embrace that and remind myself that I'm here having a human experience, and that experience is all about change, growth, evolution, or the lack thereof it. And so I just have to really just be kind to myself and recognize that I might be in an ebb, but that ebb is going to shift at some point in time. And if I can keep leaning on my tools and my knowledge and my skill sets, then eventually there's a shift that will come when that shift needs to come. And that's a big part of what I'd say is number 4. And that's about this faith that I have that a shift will come, a change will come. It might not be instantaneous. It might not be the very next day. And it might not be or look exactly how I think it's going to look. But I just have faith, like that old saying, like the tides will turn, the shift will come, change will come. As long as I have faith and I keep being open to it and allowing myself to continue to interact with the world to help support that shift. So the next practice that I lean into or call upon when I am trying to shift myself out of a funk, get that energy to move, is I go back to the basics. So for me, the basics are journaling, moving my body, and Reiki meditation. So when I'm in that funk, and maybe I'm in that funk because my physical body is not healthy, I can get myself to a place where maybe I can do a little bit of journaling because I can't maybe physically move my body. I just can't get there. I don't have the energy. I don't have that capability. But maybe there is some energy that I can move by just writing, just even moving thoughts out of my head, putting them on paper. That can kind of really help us shift. And for me, that is my basic. That is the very first tool that I learned as a teenager that really kind of helped me to stabilize my nervous system. And it is still my go-to. It is something that just really allows me to process thoughts, feelings, emotions, and it's so easily accessible. The next basic for me is moving my body. And this one has brought me kind of a lot of grief in those moments where I am in that funk and my body is physically unwell or it's capable but not to the point where I can move my body to the level that I want to. So there has been a lot of grief and a lot of hardship on myself over the years because moving my body in a very fast, aggressive movement really helped me regulate my nervous system, to really help me to heal, to really help me move emotions through my body. But that can't always be my go-to because I am not physically well. I don't have the lung capacity if I've got a cough for 30 days. So I have to lean on other ways. So sometimes what your body really needs is slow, gentle movement. Things like yoga, qigong, just walking. But to me, just the idea of moving my body is a basic. And I know it might not be a basic for other people, or you're still finding those basics. But that is one that really does help me to get back into my energy flow, to really get things to shift for me. And the other one that I mentioned is Reiki meditation. So this is another practice that I learned at the start of my awakening journey. And when I say awakening, I really mean like awakening to myself, awakening to my body, awakening to energy, really just coming alive. And so this tool just really helped me to find safety in the present moment. And Reiki is just another way to move energy. I often use it to help clear myself, clear my clients of these energies that maybe might be sticking to us or that we've sponged up. And so it can really help to move some of those energies. But I recognize when I'm in those moments where I'm not trusting myself, I'm not trusting my body, I feel very contracted, I'm in more of a negative space. Moving energy isn't accessible to me. It's almost like the dimmer switch has really been turned down and I can't seem to turn it up. And when I get to those space that those basics are not working for me, I'm not getting the shift, I'm not getting the energy moving, I'm still feeling helpless, hopeless, my faith is really downgraded, then I start looking for some external help. Sometimes in those moments, what I really need is I need some joy. And that's when you feel pulled to bring a friend into the mix. And sometimes that friend can just give you a laugh to help shift that energy. Sometimes that friend can be that sounding board. There's some things that you need to talk out as a way to kind of get that energy moving. And if you're really lucky, you have friends that you can go deep with, that you can vault things with. So I learned the term vault from Brene Brown. And when you have a friendship and you're able to discuss something and put it in the vault, there is a level of safety there. And there is a level of trust in that relationship that creates such a deep connection. And I am very blessed. I have built those relationships in my life. I have friends that we can vault together. And sometimes that's really what I need, is I need to be able to talk it out. I need to bring someone else into kind of the energetic mix with me, whether for them to be able to take what I'm carrying or whether I need their energy. I need them to help me laugh because I can't seem to laugh myself. I need to feel their positivity. I need to feel their vibrancy to help me to move my mood, shift my energy. And sometimes I really need to lean on my mentors. So I've worked with different mentors and coaches, different stages, and often I need to lean on expertise. I need a different perspective. And sometimes that just doesn't come from my friends. I love my friends, but kind of working in the world that I work in, sometimes I need to talk to another entrepreneur. Sometimes I need just a higher perspective. Sometimes I need help channeling me and my guides again. And I need that help from those that I know that can support me. Sometimes I need a clearing. Sometimes I need help getting out of my own way. And so working with my mentors and coaches can help me to shift, reset my energy, clear my auric field, be able to just do some of that energetic work that I am maybe not having the capacity to see for myself. And my coaches and my mentors have also really helped me to continue to move forward as I have walked in this journey. Choosing change is hard. Choosing change activates your nervous system and brings up dysregulation. It's going to happen because change sends us into places that are uncomfortable. Places we've never walked before, actions that we've never taken. And so that brings up fear. All of those things that activate stress responses. And so the key is to not stay in that stress response the whole time, to try and get yourself back to that regulated state, to shift your energy, to move your mood. And my coaches and my mentors, they kind of help me to remind myself to use those skills, use those tools, use that knowledge, Lynette, so that you don't stay stuck in this place for too long. And my mentors and my coaches, they can see when I'm maybe needing a little bit of rest and when I need to retreat a little bit from the world and when I am pulling back because of fear. And then they can gently and lovingly help me to move forward. And those mentors too, they can remind us of the faith we have, that there's like the ebbs and the flows. They can give you that perspective for you to recognize that the funk or the energy that we're in might not last as long as we feel that it's going to last. And that can be like super beneficial and maybe even help it shift quicker. And one of my other go-tos to help create that energy shift, get me back to me, pull myself out of that funk, is nature. Nature can be such a soothing, supportive aspect to pull yourself out of a funk. A simple walk in fresh air and sunshine can do so much for us. At the beginning of my journey, I swam a lot. Just having a good float in a lake just really allowed nature to kind of be this sponge and pull energy for me that I no longer wanted to carry. I have just gone for walks or spent time outside to just see the beauty in colorful flowers in the wintertime, like see the beauty of the snow when it sparkles in the sun, see how the hoarfrost makes trees just look so lovely. And it kind of just helps to ground and reset and help me move that mood that I am in. We can watch a growth process in plants, and it helped just kind of to bring back that gratitude that maybe we've kind of been missing when we're in that funk. And there are times, I'm not going to lie, when I have had the urge to wrap my arms around a big tree and just allow it to take all that it needed to take from me. Just draw it out. Because trees are strong. They're grounded. They're rooted. They're powerful. They can withstand a lot. And they can be like a sponge for some of that energy that we need to release to help us shift. So there you have it. There are going to be ebbs and flows. Your energy is going to change. We're going to get into a funk. Our nervous system is going to be dysregulated. We are going to have times when we feel hopeless, helpless. Maybe we're in super anxious places. That is the experience of being a human. But we don't have to stay there. We can learn how to interact with those ebbs and those flows. And so to recap, my 8 ways of how I get myself out of a funk is: number 1, I remind myself that I am safe. Number 2, I remember how far I have come. Number 3, I just try not to be too hard on myself. Number 4 is I lean into faith. 5, you go back to the basics, back to my basic practices. 6, reach out to friends, let them in. Number 7, it's okay to ask for help. Work with a mentor, work with a coach, work with a practitioner. And lastly, number 8, explore nature. Take care, my friends.